Democrats prepare to open their national convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A Nigerian motivational speaker inspires women to achieve the impossible. And the San Francisco Botanical Garden blooms with local musical talent. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Esther Gido-Ewart. This is Africa 54. The Democratic National Convention opens Monday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where America's first ever woman to lead a major party presidential ticket will be nominated. VOA's Michael Bowman reports Hillary Clinton has picked her running mate, but may have more work to do to inspire and unify Democrats for the battle against Republican Donald Trump.
Democratic nominee-to-be Hillary Clinton intends to draw a sharp contrast with her Republican opponent.
We will offer a very different vision for our country, one that is about building bridges, not walls, embracing the diversity that makes our country great.
I am your voice.
While Donald Trump focused on illegal immigration and other perceived threats to America at last week's Republican National Convention, Clinton's running mate, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, is making direct appeals to the nation's growing Hispanic community.
Welcome, everyone. Everyone in our country is welcome, right? Because we are all Americans.
Trump responded on Twitter, blasting Kaine's past support for international trade deals and suggesting a Clinton-Kaine ticket does not look presidential and would embolden Islamic State. Other top Republicans are also speaking out.
A Clinton presidency means America will drift further from the principles of limited government, free enterprise, a strong national defense, and empowered families. In foreign policy, a Clinton presidency means forgetting our friends and enabling our enemies.
Among those first to address the Democratic convention will be Clinton's main primary challenger, Bernie Sanders.
It is no secret that Hillary Clinton and I disagree on a number of issues. That is what this campaign has been about. That is what democracy is about.
Polls show many Sanders supporters unenthusiastic about Clinton. On Sunday, Sanders urged the removal of Democratic National Committee Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz after emails were leaked showing party officials siding with Clinton and strategizing against Sanders during the primaries. The controversy assures that the Democratic convention, much like last week's Republican gathering, will not be free of drama and distractions. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
And joining us from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is Africa 54's Vincent Makori. Hello, Vincent.
Hello, Esther.
The resignation of DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz appears to overshadow the nomination of Hillary Clinton. Does this actually mean that there's a change of tone in the convention, or would this even hurt Hillary Clinton?
You know, let me tell you, the DNC would rather have had to be talking about something else like Hillary Clinton team and, you know, what is on the plate for the rest of this week. This is not the kind of thing they wanted everybody to be talking about on day one or the day before the first day of the DNC. So it is somewhat a distraction, of course. But then some look at this as perhaps something that may be short-lived, because Bernie Sanders himself has said, well, Debbie Wasserman Schultz made a good decision to resign. Also, the spokesperson of Bernie Sanders said today that this was known, that it had happened all this time. Bernie Sanders' team knew all these things happened, but it's time to move on. It's time to move on and make sure Hillary is elected president. So in a way, it might be short-lived, especially as soon as speeches start rolling out this evening and the days to come. This could be a minor distraction, but they hope that it won't stick around.
But Vincent, Debbie Wasserman is still expected to open the convention. What kind of reactions should we expect?
The latest we have is that she's still going to open the convention and speak. Hey, what reaction can we expect? Just like we saw this morning. She was speaking here in Philadelphia. She was booed, obviously, by the Bernie Sanders supporters. So while in the arena, of course, many will be quiet. I mean, they understand what happened. But Bernie Sanders will be present. You can expect them to make some noise. She will get some boos because, you know what, some of the DNC members wish she didn't have to speak at all, but again, there was some kind of a deal. It looks like she probably will open and speak and then kind of disappear for some time and then come back to close the convention. We'll see how this goes, but you know, be sure there'll be some noise on the arena floor.
And briefly, Vincent, some of the keynote speakers tonight and what we should expect.
Well, the keynote speakers, Mrs. Michelle Obama will be speaking. Bernie Sanders will speak. One important here is that Bernie Sanders will come on, endorse Hillary Clinton, and of course call for unity within the party. He will emphasize the need for the party to be unified. He'll call upon his supporters to vote for Hillary Clinton so they can defeat Donald Trump. Michelle Obama will be talking so much about her husband, his passion for the youth, and how she believes Hillary Clinton will advance this legacy of President Obama. She will say great things about Obama and, of course, connect this to a Hillary presidency as a continuation of those great things that have happened during the presidency of President Obama.
All right, Vincent, thank you very much. That's Vincent Makori, Africa 54's anchor, reporting live from DNC in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Not only Americans have a stake in the outcome of the election 2016, VOA's Mohammed Al-Shinawi talked to Jamil El-Shami, founder of the American Republic Forum, on what a Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump presidency could mean for the Muslim world.
I do expect the next president, regardless whether it is Ms. Clinton or Mr. Trump, that their policy in practice will not be too different. Decidedly, Clinton most likely will be following what the current policy that of President Obama is, with little modification, while Trump will try to do drastic things. But there is a difference between a candidate and a sitting president.
How do you expect the Arab and Muslim American vote in this upcoming presidential elections?
The candidates that support good relations between the United States and the Arab and the Muslim world, the candidate that seeks better understanding seems to get the vote regardless of loyalty to party.
In other news, in Germany, a 27-year-old Syrian refugee denied asylum in Germany detonated explosives late Sunday near an outdoor music festival in the town of Ansbach, killing himself and wounding 12 others. 3 people were seriously wounded in the blast, while more than 2,000 were evacuated from the festival after the explosion. The blast followed a machete attack by another Syrian refugee that killed a Polish woman earlier Sunday near Stuttgart, a mass shooting in Munich Friday by a German of Iranian descent that left 9 dead, and last week's knife and axe attack aboard a German train by a Pakistan teenager that wounded 5. Today, Africa 54 begins a 4-part series on the crackdown on terrorism financing. A new U.S. law has been enacted to protect and preserve international cultural property, and the U.S. is putting systems in place to coordinate a global effort to stop the illicit actors. VOA's Caroline Turner has more.
The recent destruction by ISIS of the first-century ruins at the UNESCO World Heritage Site in Palmyra, Syria, shocked the world. In Tunisia last year, ISIS took credit for the attack on the Bardo National Museum in Tunis. 21 people were killed and over 50 were injured. In Mali in 2012, the fabled city of Timbuktu was overrun by 1,000 Islamic fighters, forcing local residents to hide underground to shelter historic Arabic manuscripts from destruction. ISIS declared war on the U.S., has captured the attention of Congress, and they are investigating their source of funds. Annual revenues from the plunder and sale of priceless antiquities are estimated to be between $1 to $200 million. Congress held a hearing recently to investigate terrorism financing and to learn how ISIS gets its money. Robert Etzel is the author of the book Monuments Men, which was made into a movie about the effort to save cultural artifacts from Nazi destruction during World War II.
Evidence that ISIS has sanctioned the looting and sale of antiquities to generate revenue for terrorism is a game changer. It compels us to think about the ownership of art, the responsibility of the art trade and collectors, and the role of the federal government differently than ever before. The Monuments Men saw firsthand that the destruction of cherished artistic and religious treasures is the starter gun that precedes genocide and the human suffering that follows. It proved true in Nazi Germany, in Bosnia-Herzegovina, in al-Qaeda-controlled areas of Afghanistan and Mali, and now in ISIS-administered portions of Syria and Iraq.
Representative Ed Royce agrees that ISIS is a serious menace to protecting antiquities.
And we also were in North Africa, in Tunisia, and we saw the results of the attack there on the museum in Tunisia. This is ISIS now in Libya that comes over the border and carries out attacks specifically against museums and, of course, in Libya also they're destroying these cultural artifacts that date back to the Carthaginian period or Roman and Hellenic periods.
Congressman Royce went on to suggest legislation similar to that authored on blood diamonds, and he is not alone in that theory.
I think there are some parallels. For the first part of your question, it's a unique strategic resource, right? I mean, if you look at ISIL's, all of the revenue that they get, much of what they've gotten early on was from taking over territory and dispossessing the people that they took over. But antiquities provides this opportunity for them to consistently continue to get new resources.
Fanucci explained that historically unemployed locals excavate and sell antiquities to earn income. The challenge is in documentation, tracking, and questionable ownership.
ISIS has access to roughly 5,000 archaeological sites and probably has earned several millions of dollars from antiquities trafficking. And some of the looting appears to be conducted by local populations who sell amid an economically devastated environment where ISIS already taxes and confiscates other earnings and possessions. The importance of this trade for ISIS lies not just in the funding, but in the market's strategic and operational benefits.
Fanucci urges Congress to make this a national security priority. Carolyn Turner, VOA News, Washington.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Coming up, how a Nigerian motivational speaker is spreading her message of empowerment. Stay with us.
science and technology, here's what's new.
What's new? Stanford University researchers say the modified Google Glass eyewear may help kids with autism. Like most kids with autism, Julian Brown has trouble reading emotions on people's faces. Google's Autism Glass facial recognition software gives Julian some help.
This helps with the emotions, recognizing them.
Autism Glass lead researcher Dennis Wall says it's all about reading facial cues.
When that happens, they will become more socially engaged, and as a consequence of that, gain confidence in social settings.
When the device's camera detects an emotion, such as happiness or sadness, Julian sees the word happy or sad, or a corresponding emoji, flash on the glass display. Kirsten Brown is Julian's mother.
It has helped our son who's using the Google Glasses connect with the family more.
Google Autism Glass is still in the early stages of testing. For VOA's What's New, I'm Todd Grossheim.
I am Sheikha Sali, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today, we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
The 15-year-old girl who introduced President Barack Obama at the White House during the Eid al-Fitr dinner last Thursday has quite a story to tell. Somali-American Aisha Osman wrote the president in May, explaining why she was sometimes uncomfortable exhibiting her heritage and faith. Obama was so moved by the letter, he gave her a place of honor at the celebration. I sat down with Aisha and asked her to share her experience.
He wrote a lot, but at the end it said, again, thank you for writing your letter, and your message will remain on my mind.
You are only 15 years old, and I want to know what you want other teenagers, Muslim American teenagers, how do you want them to express themselves?
I would want them to speak out. Their voices are heard. I thought mine wasn't heard, but it is. I tell them to show who Muslims really are and how kind and friendly and caring and loving we are, and we're not what the media portrays us as. I just want them to show who they are.
What do you want people to know that don't understand why you wear the hijab?
Islam is a religion of peace. Wearing the hijab makes me feel protected and safe. The hijab is my identity.
And that this freedom allows you?
The freedom allows me to wear my hijab freely with pride.
Do you feel, when you look at your parents and where they came from and all the opportunities they missed because of all the turmoil going on around the world and even in Somalia, that you have an opportunity as a young American Muslim to make a difference?
Yeah, I'm so thankful they chose America as their home. I'm just so thankful. And hopefully I can go back to Somalia and rebuild my country to where it was once.
I'm sure you read about Somalia, and you look at the young people in Somalia, young girls, young men, and how the country has taken a dip because of the conflict going on. What are your feelings?
I'm sad. It's devastating. They don't have the opportunity that I have. They probably haven't had an education. And they're probably scared that every second might be their last when they go outside.
Have you ever watched a motivational speaker? Have you been inspired to take action on something you always wanted to do? Meet Margaret Dureke, a native of Nigeria and a motivational speaker here in Washington, D.C. This past spring, Margaret and her team organized a conference at the University of Maryland to mark 5 years since she founded the organization Wetati, or Women Empowered to Achieve the Impossible.
We'll talk about business opportunities and investment in Africa and the next millennium, about what people can do to prepare themselves economically. The platform is to let everyone believe and understand that they have the power to change their lives. Even if their destiny looks grim, they can flip it. Even if you have a great destiny, you can also enhance it.
Celeste Johnson says she has been inspired to write a book.
Keeping It Across Judgment, A Journey is about life struggles.
everyday life struggles that people encounter, and it's about keeping the faith when you go through those life struggles.
Vanessa Cabrera is a field director for Premier Financial Alliance and has worked closely with the organization.
I found my purpose. And when you find your purpose, then nothing stops you in life. We can go through ups and downs, but when you are clear about what your purpose in life is, things can happen and you still move forward.
Dr. Dorothy Nange is founder of Highest International Ministry.
And a lot of women are still pulling themselves into the front line, but when they are not ready, even some men. So before you come out as a leader, you must be ready to release people who can retain what you know.
Also attending the anniversary was Patrick Woyan, mayor of College Park.
The whole Watati organization, bringing people together to give them the resources to excel in their businesses and succeed, is an inspiration. It's very much in line with what we're trying to do in College Park.
The Zambian embassy in Washington, D.C. was represented by Patricia Letia.
When you empower women, by the way, one of the key things, you even reduce incidences of domestic violence. Because most women are staying in abusive relationships because they're not empowered to leave. Their only source of bread and butter is the man out there. So these are some of the things that we are doing in our country.
So next time you hear motivational speakers are coming to your neighborhood, you may want to hear a word or two and maybe get inspired. It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, pianos amid the greenery in San Francisco. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. Musical and flower arrangement merge, transforming nature into an outdoor concert hall. 12 pianos have been bought in and placed in various nooks and crannies throughout the 55-acre San Francisco Botanical Garden in California. Professional pianists put on an impromptu performance for oftentimes surprised nature lovers. But organizers say the heart of flower piano are the novices who show up, often with sheet music in hand, to play simply for the sheer delight of it. More than 50,000 guests have enjoyed the oasis of music and natural beauty, often drawn into literal explode corners by the park by the music. And in other cultural news, artists and musicians have long complained about a lack of good facilities in the Cambodian capital, Phnom Penh. The 6-story high-rusted overship will be transformed into Cambodia's largest creative center dedicated to the contemporary arts. Originally built to be a floating hotel, the structure was left unfinished by its French-Cambodian owner in 2012 before being leased to its current operators in September last year. Lack of space in Cambodia is pushing artists to leave the country. Once the restoration is complete, it will be home to over 100 mostly local artists, making it Cambodia's biggest arts center. Creativity isn't just limited to music and painting. These cooking students are tasting a new opportunity that may transform their lives. 120 students will graduate from Mexico's first Gastro Motiva culinary course this September after completing a 4-month program. The Gastromotiva movement began in Brazil in 2006, teaching people how to cook as a way to change their lives for the better. Since 2007, 1,800 apprentices have graduated from the program in Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Salvador, and up to 80% of those found jobs the following year. And that's what's trending today. In sports news, Ivorian Taekwondo athletes have been shining at international tournaments, and 3 will be headed to next month's Rio Olympics. Asian martial arts are increasingly popular in West Africa, as Emily Eob reports from Abidjan.
It's the home stretch for the 3 Ivorian Taekwondo athletes. The Rio Summer Games are just weeks away, and Ivory Coast has won only 1 Olympic medal in its history. That one was in athletics 32 years ago. Track and field is still the top category for African Olympians, but Asian martial arts are gaining ground, especially in West Africa. In all, African nations are sending more than 50 athletes to compete in Taekwondo and Judo this year.
We are very confident. Our athletes are mature. They are on a par with the best in the world.
Ruth Bagby competed in the 2012 Olympics and has won gold in her category at the African Taekwondo Championships. She also won a gold medal at last year's African Games.
Government support is coming along gradually. As they see results, they are starting to show interest in the sport. But the public, yes, we have a lot of fans who approach us, who encourage us. Ivorians are motivated.
Taekwondo was first introduced in Ivory Coast in the 1960s by a Korean master. The sport is now a popular extracurricular activity in Ivorian schools.
It's my parents who put me down for it. They saw that I didn't know how to defend myself, and I was withdrawn because of that.
Part-time coach Ibrahima Soumaro says the image of the sport has evolved over time.
We used to think of martial arts practitioners as thugs who assault people. Now, Taekwondo is an Olympic sport. It's taught in schools and universities. It is practiced by an elite.
And the kids say they will be watching the national team compete in Rio.
They are examples to follow because they are champions, and they come from Ivory Coast, so it encourages us to continue Taekwondo.
This will be Cheick Cissé's first Olympics. He won gold in his category at both the African Games last year and at the African Taekwondo Championship earlier this year.
We will try our best to bring home a medal, so the next generation can be at ease and practice the sport in good conditions in Africa.
Taekwondo has been an Olympic sport since 2000. So far, only 3 Africans have won medals in the event. Emilia for VOA News in Abidjan.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks for watching, and good night from Washington.
Welcome to the Voice of America's Newswords.
Here is a story that has to do with defects or problems with cars.
Listen for the word that means to take back something. Recall.
They had meetings over this defect. They shared complaints over this defect. Yet there was no investigation by the government and no recall by General Motors until 10 years later.
Recall. It is a word that means to ask people officially to return something.
In our story, there were major problems with some General Motors cars. The man says the U.S. government and the car company took too long to issue a recall, so the cars could be fixed.
Now, when you hear the word recall, your American English will be good enough to know what this news word means.